Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for this introduction, and thanks to the IAB Tech Lab first and foremost for putting together this event. We're super excited to be here and to be talking about CTV. And we thought that, there's a lot of people on, I think, from all over the world today. So we wanted to start off by having a little fun dispelling some CTV myths. At least that's my idea of having fun. I hope we have other at tech geeks on the line that are gonna have some fun doing this as well. So without further ado, I'm gonna get going and set the tone for our first panel because we have some great people to hear from. So one of the first myths that I hear all the time is that cutting the cord, the transition from cable TV to CTV connected TV will take 10 plus years to be completed. So apparently Shaq doesn't seem to believe so, and neither do we. So the facts that are and the stats that are coming out these days are pretty evident, right? 49% of TV viewers are on cable still, so now less than half. And more importantly, the rate of cord cutting has doubled in the past year. So if we do a little math, if we look at how this trend is going, I personally think that it's going to be in the next 3 years that the proportion of cable TV viewers is going to be below 10%. So the real question is, at what point do we start considering CTV to be cable TV and we can just start calling our modern TV TV? I think it's going to happen much faster than the next 10 years. Second myth that we have, ad-supported streaming does not have enough scale for programmatic. Something we hear all the time. The idea is that all the scale in connected TV is from subscription-based streaming services like Netflix, like Disney Plus, and other walled gardens that aren't necessarily accessible programmatically. Now, I also think that's a big myth. 50% of the US CTV ad spend is already programmatic. And the scale of the total US CTV ad market in 2024 is going to be about $25 billion. We've put some examples here. One of the biggest drivers of this programmatic spend is the virtual MVPDs. So they're companies that everybody knows that are aggregating tons of different amazing professionally produced content, making it available to the programmatic marketplace. Amongst these, Pluto recently announced they're going to make $1 billion in revenue next year. Almost all of that is programmatic. So pretty large chunk of the overall total, but I think a very exciting number for a lot of these other companies that are evolving in the space. We also heard that HBO Max and Paramount Plus from Viacom CBS are launching ad-supported tiers, which really proves that these companies have either tried the subscription model or tried a hybrid, and clearly having an ad-based model makes a lot of sense. So everything shows that there is scale today to buy CTV programmatically, and that's only going to continue to increase quite significantly over the next few years. All right, myth number 3. CTV provides limited targeting capabilities. So we hear this a lot, and one of the facts that kind of seems to prove this true is that today the vast majority of connected TV advertising is delivered through deal IDs, right? More than 80% of all transactions are done through deal IDs today in CTV. Why is that? And the main reason, if you ask buyers or sellers why that's happening, is because that's the only way to truly know what you're buying, right? So it basically means you don't have other targeting capabilities. I also think that's a myth. There's 2 basic ways of targeting connected TV: audience and context. Let's start with audiences. In audience-based targeting is basically based on a simple thing. It's a device ID that you can link to a household and that you can then link to any first or third party segment. If we look at the major connected TV devices, Roku, 95% of the inventory is monetized with the device ID. 98% for Samsung, 92% for Fire TV, and up to 99% for Vizio. So if we compare that with any other environment in the ad tech space, whether it's web or now iOS and Android, the coverage of device IDs is far larger. And that's why I think connected TV is actually probably the best place if you want to run an audience-based campaign today and in the next couple of years. There's no signal so far of any of these providers of changing their approach to the way device IDs are being sent and passed. Now, the second aspect is contextual. Contextual metadata is available today in OpenRTB. We have things like content category, genre, producer, season. I mean, pretty much anything you can think of around the content itself. There's even a field for stream URLs. Now, the challenge is that only about a third of bid requests today contain these content signals. And so that's where the myth comes from, right? It's, if I'm not getting, as a buyer, if I'm not getting these signals in the bid request, there's not much for me to target. However, that is increasing. And that's, for example, something that we obsess about at Publica is whenever we start working with a new publisher, we work with them on how can you better declare your content and really start passing it in the bid request. I think it's, you know, a lot of publishers have never seen what a connected TV bid request looks like for their own inventory. So it's as if you were, you know, running an auction, selling a painting that you've never seen before. So it really starts by first, you know, understanding what am I passing and what are buyers basing their bids on. So that's a lot of the work we do, and a lot of companies are evolving in this space, bringing on additional context based on any type of signal that they can receive. So this is a very dynamic space, and it's going to continue to grow. So I can't handle reach and frequency capping in CTV. This is probably one of the largest issues that buyers are having, and that which is causing you know, spend to be transitioning slower from traditional TV to connected TV than viewers are. And part of it is certainly accurate. I mean, there's challenges in this today. However, we think that there are the technology exists today to solve all of those problems, right? So let's take them one at a time. Frequency capping. I think from both a buyer standpoint, buyers know how incredibly complicated it is to do that today, but also for the viewers. If any of you guys subscribe to streaming service, you all have that one ad that you keep saying, hey, if I see it one more time, I swear to God. I know for me, it's Jake from State Farm, because I watch basketball, but I'm sure all of us have that one. So it's a real problem. However, today we have technology to apply frequency capping, not only in a direct campaign setting, but also in a programmatic ecosystem. We can keep information in memory to know what were the last ads that these viewers saw, and apply any type of business rule. So this is really for the publishers to leverage the ad technology that exists today to apply frequency capping from a business rule standpoint. And then of course on the buy side to be able to cap when you set up your buys directly. Competitive separation at the ad break and session level. So a couple years ago, if you turned on any streaming service, you would probably see duplicate ads, if not, you know, 3 different insurance commercials in the same ad break. Today, we have the technology to enforce competitive separation at the ad break level, but further at the session level. It's important that you don't hit the same user with the same ad at every single ad break in the same position. It's important to deliver a true TV experience, and we have, again, the technology to do that. So I think a lot of these problems are solved. It's about adopting them. And then finally, optimizing the ad break to get rid of slates. Slates is, you know, a lot of people think it's the only way to get rid of duplicates, to get rid of competitive brands to be in the same pod. We don't think so. I don't think so. I think today we have the technology to identify when there is a 6-second ad break or inventory that's still available within a break, and monetize it programmatically. In a perfect marketplace, there's always going to be a buyer that is interested in buying that kind of slot. So I think it's really up to the ad technology space to create a marketplace that's dynamic enough to know how much time is left in an ad break to sell, and to sell that obviously in a very short amount of time, because we all operate on open RTB standards that require very tight timeframes. But that is certainly something that can be done today with the technology that we use and with the standards that we all use. All right, maybe I've convinced you guys that all this was mainly myths, and but one of the biggest thing is still fraud. Probably the number one reason, if anything, of why advertisers aren't transitioning their dollars to CTV is a lack of trust. So this is going to be a lot of what we talk about today in this first panel. And one of the standards that we're very excited to start talking about is the Ad Search 2.0 standard. And what that standard is simply bringing cryptographic security to ad tech. Cryptographic security and cryptography in general is used in many other industries. I think the big issue that we have in ad tech is, for a very long time, we've relied on JavaScript to measure, to prevent fraud, to do all sorts of things. And in connected TV, it's a very fragmented ecosystem. TVs aren't designed to necessarily run JavaScript. And personally, I don't think we want them to. I think we should keep TVs focused on what they're supposed to be doing, which is delivering amazing streams to a user and making apps searchable, making content discoverable, and so on, right? So these standards, what we do with them is basically applying some of the same principles that we all use. Like, for example, in emailing, we all email way too much, I think, for most of us in a single day, and we trust the system to deliver the right email to the right person. Well, what we're doing with AdCert 2.0 is applying some of these standards and bringing them to programmatic connections, so bid requests, bid responses, but also, and this brings me to my second point, billing notifications. And that might be the most important of all notifications, because that's how everybody in our space gets paid. Once a billing notification is sent, an impression is counted, and that's how the money moves around, right? So one of the first applications of the AdCert 2.0 spec is securing the billing notifications to prevent SSAI spoofing. We'll be talking a little bit more about that in the panel, but just to explain at a very high level how that works, it's basically for the SSAI server to sign and authenticate the pixel that it's sending to any third party, and for that third party to be able to verify the signature and make sure that they trust the originating server. SSAI spoofing is one of the largest issues that we've seen in the CTV space these past few years, and that's why the IAB Tech Lab decided to start to focus on this problem above anything else. It's just the beginning. There's still many other things that need to be done to increase security and trust in the CTV ecosystem, and we'll be talking about a few of those things in the next panel. So, having said that, I just want to finish with a few key takeaways and then let others speak and share their experiences in the connected TV space. So cord cutting is happening at a record rate. It's increasing, and if anybody doesn't believe that CTV is the future, I think look at the numbers. It's coming, and it's coming really fast. It's not slowing down. SVOD fatigue is real. I think there's a lot of subscription services out there, and a lot of people have reached their cap in terms of how much they can pay per month for streaming. So ad-supported ecosystems are growing incredibly quickly, and pretty much every big publisher in the space is betting on ads-supported services today. CTV buyers can target more data points than ever. I think also more data points than potentially anywhere else on the internet. So this makes CTV incredibly appealing for ad buys, and I think it's going to make it more appealing in the future as CTV becomes the center of the marketing mix. Publishers need to master ad podding to ensure quality TV experiences to the viewers and advertisers. I love this idea because that's really the only way you bring the two sides together, is if you create quality TV experiences. And today it's all about implementing the right technology, creating the right business rules, and then monitoring them and make sure they're being respected. And then finally, SSAI, we shouldn't be afraid of SSAI, and I hope that's the main takeaway from today's session. it actually offers the opportunity to secure the CTV supply chain in an unprecedented way. And we're very happy to be part of the IAB Tech Lab's work on bringing a new standard to the market to do this. So I will stop there and I think, Mike, you're